want to talk about specific players here. We already talked about Austin Matthews. I want to go to Mitch Marner. The performance through the first week of the season has not been great. But to me, it's like I look at Mitch Marner and I think, here's a guy who, fair or unfair, right or wrong, took the punishment for what happened in the Habs series. Like he got torched all offseason, and I see that in his play. He looks like a guy to me who is gripping the stick way too hard, who is absolutely petrified to make a mistake. He's out there kind of buzzing around. He's not taking the game over like he normally does. To me, he just looks like a guy. So the point I'm trying to make here is I'm worried about him. There's some guys, one guy in particular on this team that I'm very worried about. I'm not really worried about Mitch Marner. I think he's just got to play. He's got to get the kinks out, and he'll get going. It's just, don't worry about it. Go out there, play your game, learn. Like, go and see a sports psychologist. Do something. Yeah. Learn how to block the noise. Go talk to William Nylander.
Yeah,
William Nylander took a beating from half of this fan base since the moment he showed up, and look at him now, including you, and look at him now.
Yeah.
He's one of their best players.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say that Marner hasn't gotten chances this year. Like, he's always in the thick of things in the ozone. It's just, if he's not producing, then like, what is he doing, really? I know he's getting chances, and when you get chances, they're eventually going to go in, and he's too skilled, blah, 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 but he needs to produce. Like, it's just flat out. He's that good. He's that dominant. He's that good at getting points in the NHL that he needs to start producing. And I think he's been okay. But you need to start producing.
Let's dovetail into William Nylander. William Nylander is a brand new man.
Yeah, that 6.9 is looking pretty good right now.
That's just something to, like, it's just something to remember, that how young these kids are and how, like, there is a maturing process that happens.
Yeah.
And, like, you can just see it too this year in his interviews and stuff. He's more like he's talked about wanting a leadership role. He's talked about, like, he just seems like a switch has gone off in his head.
Yeah.
And he gets it now. And he's like, and also I've noticed there's less play on the periphery because of that switch I just alluded to. He's kind of like, no, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
I can go get this puck.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about it.
He's not a big guy, but he's not small.
No.
Like, he looks pretty, like, okay out there. Mm-hmm. No, he's been good. Like, there's just flat out, I don't think you could expect any more or any less from the guy. I think they should give him more looks on the power play, but he's been pretty good.
They got an issue on their left side.
Yeah.
Just because a guy looks good in the preseason does not mean that when the games get real, he's gonna carry that over. And you know who I'm talking about. Like, Nick Richie is lost out there. And I'm starting to agree with some of the takes we're hearing on the radio now about how, like, he's just in a role he can't, like, he's just not a top line guy.
Yeah.
Like, he should be in more of like a third line role. The thing about Nick Richie is you got to remember that if you look at the scouting report on Nick Richie, big guy who plays small. And the Boston Bruins, at the end of the season, they just looked at him and said, bye.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like he was like a coveted free agent. They just let him walk, and the Leafs picked him up. So, I mean, on paper, it looks good. It's like a big winger who theoretically can get out front of the net and sort of maybe bring a physical style of play to that line to help open up space for Matthews and Marner. But he looks like he's completely lost it there. And Matthews said as much after the game the other night. He straight up said, like, you know, with Rich, we got to work on our, like, chemistry a little bit, right? Because the guy's out there, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, no, it's a tough go. He hasn't looked good, and he hasn't really done that much in any sort of area, and he's in a really tough spot.
Yeah.
Like going up to that top line, expecting to fit in and provide something 4 games in, where you either haven't had time to develop chemistry or you're just flat out not good enough to play on that top line. I think it's more that. But I mean, it's only been 4 games. Like I know, I don't think he's gonna get any better.
Yeah.
But I don't think he can get any worse than he's doing right now.
Yeah.
And you know what kills me about this too is people are like, oh, well, what about the contract? Like, guy's making 2.5.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. He's gonna be a guy who goes up and down the lineup. He's not gonna last up there. Who's gonna replace him? I have no idea. Like look at the bottom 6.
Well,
who's coming up?
Let's talk about the other left winger who's played very well through 4 games. Who this city, Michael Bunting, is the way that this fan base is treating Michael Bunting is what makes Leaf fans frustrating at times. Yeah. It's they get him in the offseason, and there's a segment of this fan base who is ready to anoint him the savior. Okay. We poked a lot of fun at that. But if you go back and check the tape, we were fair. Like we didn't like we were very open and said we're not Michael Bunting experts, but I feel bad for the guy because there are people in this fan base who are ready to like anoint him as the next Zach Hyman.
Yeah.
He goes out there, he plays really well. He's excelling in this bottom 6 role that he's in. And like I just don't know. The guy's played under 40 games in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you put him up there with Matthews and Marner, sure, he will. I just think the expectations are getting out of sorts. Like
it's a lot of pressure playing
if
up
he
at that
goes
line,
up
man.
there, if he goes up there and he doesn't look good, it's because he still needs time to like marinate a little bit. And it's like why he's played well through 4 games is because Keefe is putting him in a position to succeed.
Yeah, he's kind of in a hybrid role right now. Yeah. Like he's in the top 6, but he's not fully playing top 6 minutes yet.
Yes.
Like he's on that line with Tavares and Nylander, but there are shifts where Nylander's up with the top line, or they'll just load up a line after
you think
a penalty kill.
If Mikheyev didn't get hurt, he'd be in the bottom 6. Bunting would be in the bottom 6.
Yeah, well, maybe it'd be Richie after these 4 games,
yeah.
But yeah, Michael Bunting, we like him because he goes to the net. Like the goal he scored the other night, they're facing a phenom of a goalie. Like the guy is gross.
Shesterkin.
Oh, like
who's?
How would you like to have that guy pegged as your franchise goalie for the next 10
after
years?
This is like a Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers scenario where like Hank Lundqvist hangs it up and in comes Shesterkin.
Oh, yeah, he's
2 for 2 on names this week.
But like Bunting, the goal he scored the other night, like that's a goal they're gonna have
to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. Or in a tight game like they played the other night. They couldn't find the other one, but I mean he got that one. If you really think about it, they didn't beat that guy clean on one shot all night.
Yeah.
But let's just be happy for how he's played so far. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves because that's just what everyone's doing. He's already up on the top line in like half the fan base's mind. Like he already needs to be up there. He's already Zach Hyman. He's already replacing him. They're in a tough spot. You're right. On the left side, it's they don't like who is going to go up there if Richie doesn't pan out. Like it's just they're short dudes. Like they don't have a lot of depth for top 6 forwards to play with those guys. So they better hope Richie works out, or else Michael Bunting's going to be going up and down the top first and second line all season long.
With Mikheyev out. And I'm not sitting here saying like Mikheyev would make a world of difference. Even with Mikheyev, I don't think they're very good on the left side. Do you give Kerfoot a look up there with Marner and Matthews?
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. That's probably who you're putting up there.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think that do we overthink this? We need the perfect third man for Austin and Mitch. Like I feel like Nick Ritchie's definitely not getting it done.
Yeah.
But like I feel like sometimes people are just trying to find that just perfect fit. And it's
his name is Zach Hyman. He plays for the Edmonton Oilers.
You need to find a dude who's just pretty good and does good things around the ice.
Yes.
You don't need to find a guy who's going to be reading off Matthews because he can't read off Matthews because he's not as good as Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
There's only 2 guys on this team with the high enough skill level to play together. It's Marner and Matthews. Their IQ